From everything I know, yeah. He went through everything and felt pretty good.
What has the training staff told you, and are there any minutes limitations for him?
They told me nothing more today and nothing about minutes restrictions.
Kemba is not playing tonight, but what do you make of a point guard who was one of the worst high-volume three-point shooters in the league 2 years ago to now being one of the best?
Well, first of all, whether he plays or not, he's obviously had a great year and he's a great individual player. This team is a tough team. Like, they are really well coached. They're really disciplined. They don't beat themselves. They don't turn the ball over. And I think does a terrific job, Steve Clifford. And, regardless of if Kemba's playing or not, we have our hands full. Kemba and his progression is not a surprise at all. I mean, it's hard for me to talk about because he beat us in a national championship game, but that kid's a warrior. That kid's a competitor. He always has been, and you know that he loves the game. So, I mean, I watched him play as a high schooler in an AAU game and just play with great, love for the game and spirit, and that's translated at every level.
I know you said the team is playing better recently. I just was wondering what you thought of the team's record at this point this season.
13-12.
Are you satisfied with that?
It is what it is. I thought that this was I thought we had a lot of tough challenges, especially at the start of the season ahead of us. There were a couple of things, obviously, you can't predict going into a new year with regard to availability. But I said at the beginning of the year, we're as close to second or third as we are to 10th. Still are.
And how much of it has been the injury factor?
I don't think we should use that as an excuse. I think at the end of the day, that's part of the game. Certainly we've missed some guys, missed some games. My hope is that we can get a little bit of a steady play here and see how we look healthy.
Brad, what you just said a minute ago about how close to 10th, second as you are to 10th, is it fair to say that applies to a lot of teams in the East this year?
Yeah, I think there's no question. It's been that way for the last couple of years. I think it boils down to, and we always talk about, you've got to maintain an even keel, but you've got to control what you can control, and that is playing as consistent as possible every single night. I thought we played, some really good basketball against Toronto last week, some really good basketball against Oklahoma City, not as good against San Antonio. But I think that, we have to do what we are doing better to beat those teams and to win tonight.
Coach, any comment on the passing of Craig Sager and just his impact on the sidelines over the years?
Yeah, so his impact has been really well communicated throughout, the interviews and the tweets and the articles. And, I didn't know Craig very well. I maybe met him once or twice. But what I took from, just being around him, even the brief amount of time that I was, but also from being around the game, is how close-knit the basketball community is, how much he impacted that community, and how inspiring his fight was, and the way that he went about just kind of his everyday life through that fight. We've all been affected, personally by cancer, and cancer sucks, and I thought that there's another inspiration for people to look up to that are going through tough times.
Brett, these two teams, 2-3 in assist percentage for the league. How much of that has to do with just the point guards and offenses running through those guys?
Well, I think a lot of. I don't think that. I think it's more to do with we both play pretty similarly with regard to skilled bigs, and so ultimately the bigs end up with the ball a lot, making plays a lot, passing a lot, and anytime that you have bigs that are just as likely to score on a perimeter jump shot as they are in the post or off an offensive rebound, then you're probably going to be a higher assist team than otherwise if you're more of an isolation type.
Is that a positive thing to take, though?
I mean, I think it's I think we both. I don't want to speak for Steve. I mean, he's a heck of a coach. He can speak for himself. But to me, assist to field goals made is something I look at very regularly. And then turnover percentage is something I look at very regularly. I think they're leading the league, and maybe we're third or fourth. Yeah, that's the way you have to play if you want to win.
Any changes to the starting five outside of Isaiah?
No.
Available tonight?
He's going to be inactive.